Yeah, welcome everybody to today's webinar. Really happy for y'all to join in here as we talk about how yourself can create a more simple process with sending Texas monthly notice to make sure that you are first in line to get paid and that you're protected on that invoice. If you joined this webinar, I'm guessing you've maybe dealt with complications or stress that come with protecting your lien rights on jobs in Texas. This industry definitely hasn't made it easy for contractors to get paid, or suppliers as well. But we're here to change that. The lien laws are also in Texas, as you know, pretty particular. So we're going to also address that as well, how you can make that more simple and less stressful. Before moving forward, I just want to say that we are recording this live session, and you'll receive a link to the recording tomorrow if you'd like to watch it again or share with your team. As well, like I mentioned at the start, if you have any questions, go ahead and just hit the chat, interact on Zoom during the presentation. I'll go ahead and answer them towards the end here. So appreciate y'all joining me here today. And my name is Liam Duddy. I am a senior account executive here at Levelset. I've been here for 3 years. 3 years anniversary is today, so I've seen it all. I've worked with many businesses like yourself to help you get paid faster without payment problems, and protect yourself from any potential issues, or just put yourself first in line to get paid. Basically, Levelset exists to help contractors, suppliers, even general contractors reduce risk, save time and get paid fast, if not faster. We all know the construction industry does present all sorts of challenges when it comes to getting paid, especially in Texas, when you have all these different deadlines, different notices that need to go out. To solve those challenges, we have all kinds of resources, from profiles outlining contractors' payment histories to educational guides, and of course, our cloud-based software, which I'm actually going to show y'all today. And I'll make sure I'm sharing my screen when I do. Perfect. So for today's agenda, we're going to talk about exactly that, those Texas monthly notice requirements, how you can use Levelset to speed up payments, or some things that you can do to help even speed up payments aside from or in addition to those monthly notices. And I'll do a mini presentation of our cloud-based software, how you can have all these notices queued up and ready for you to go. So you don't have to stress about that monthly notice deadline. You don't have to prepare that document. You can just have it ready to go when that month rolls around. And then, of course, a Q&A towards the end. I see we actually do have some chats here, so perfect. Awesome. So like I said, if you want to add chats throughout if something comes up, don't wait, throw it in the chat. We'll look through that towards the end. We'll answer those questions. So just to start, the first agenda is Texas lien rights requirements. And we could probably spend a lot of time on this. Some of you might already be familiar with Texas monthly notices and the steps that you do need to take to protect your lien rights. But for the sake of those that are new to these requirements, or maybe if you need a refresher, I'm going to walk through a little crash course just on the basics. We could get pretty granular and get down deep into these notices and what they look like and the timeline. And based on, if you're a subcontractor or a second tier subcontractor, we can probably spend a lot more time on this. But since these requirements are complex and change depending on your role depending on your role in the job and the type of work being done, a lot of this information can be new to you, even if you're familiar with these notices. So I do want to touch on it a little bit. And perfect. So Texas subcontractors and suppliers need to send monthly notices in order to retain lien rights on private construction jobs, or to retain bond claim rights on public jobs as well. Now, you might receive these notices if you're a subcontractor moved from your supplier. Suppliers have a different notice requirement than maybe a subcontractor would. So what's really complicated and unusual about Texas monthly notices is that just sending a notice once also isn't enough. So companies are usually required to send these notices repeatedly for every month work was not paid. So depending on your role, if you're a subcontractor or if you're a second tier subcontractor or maybe a supplier, you might have to send 2 notices for every month of unpaid work. And since, as you all know, some jobs can take months or even years, the number of required notices you need to send can rapidly add up, especially if you have different invoices on different months. You're going to have that deadline come up at different times. And then Texas, the great state of Texas, well, I actually am fortunate to live in, which I'm sure y'all, probably most of y'all live in as well. It's a great state, but it also has some pretty confusing lien deadlines with these notices or with these notice deadlines. To make it even more complicated, they decided that the monthly notice has to be due on the 15th of the month. Or if it's, it's a holiday, the preceding business day. So these notices are typically required to be sent to the general contractor, the property owner, or both, depending on your role. And what this monthly notice does, to summarize, this protects your right to file a lien if you're not paid. If you don't send these notices on time, if you maybe go past that monthly deadline, it could potentially impact a contractor or supplier's right to file a valid lien claim. And what they really do also, from what my experience, is when sending them, they actually put that contractor first in line to get paid. If you think about it, a general contractor or an owner or whoever, most times than not, they're going to pay the contractor that is protecting their rights. So by sending these notices, you're putting yourself first in line to get paid, in what I like to call the to pay first pile, not the, oh, we'll pay them later pile. I have seen that. We actually have a story about that on our website somewhere, about a general contractor who would prioritize who they pay first based on who sends the correct notices. So that is just a brief overview of a little bit about those monthly notices. I know it's kind of a lot of information, but that also goes into our next point about how you can actually speed up payment. So the monthly notices, they speed up payment. They help protect your right to file a lien. Now, what do you do if you're not paid? So what a lot of our customers will do is they will send what's called a notice of intent to lien. Now, it's oftentimes the monthly notices, fund trapping notices, monthly notices, invoice notices, whatever you want to call them. A lot of the times people might get those confused with an intent to lien. But in reality, the monthly notices, they really aren't explaining like, hey, we're filing a lien. It's just a monthly notice for that invoice to protect in case you do have to file a lien. So in addition to that, what a lot of our contractors will do is they'll send a notice of intent to lien. And what basically that does is it warns the GC and the property owner that you plan to file a lien on those invoices that if you don't receive payment. And then in some cases, the warning itself does, I've seen work wonders in addition to the monthly notices. The threat of a lien gets the ball moving in your court and can get you paid. But if not, then as a last resort, the lien itself. And then when you've done everything you can with those steps with the monthly notices, the lien is valid, and you don't have to worry about it getting to the point where, oh, you didn't send a monthly notice on this date, you can't file a lien. So now everything we've just talked about, from sending monthly notices to filing a lien, I know it can get extremely complicated. Not only, like I said, if you're trying to track multiple deadlines, maybe across multiple jobs, you have multiple invoices, everything needs to be done in a certain way. And I know it can be extremely time consuming and stressful. So this is, what you see here, this is the program. I'm not going to dive super deep into this. If y'all do have any other questions about Levelset or how we can simplify these notices, I'm going to, you can send me an email. You're getting an email from me. You got an email from me probably to sign up on this. You can reach out to me and we can talk further. But I do want to show you briefly, how Levelset can, automate a lot of this stuff for you and eliminate some of the stress. Because that is why you're here today. You're probably wondering how we can help. So I went ahead and built a project within Levelset. For the sake of this demo, go ahead and go to that project. Now, when I click on that project, you're going to see an overview here of maybe some upcoming deadlines and notices that need to be sent out. So right here, right actually off the bat, we have what's called a notice of contractual retainage. This is actually a notice in Texas that not a lot of people are familiar about, but it actually goes and protects a contractor's right to file a lien on the retainage amount. Not going to go into detail on that because I know the whole topic here is monthly notices, but that is another notice that can impact or help you get paid on time, especially with retainage. But your invoices are going to pull over, whether it be from, you provide those invoices to us, you enter them here, or you have some sort of integration with an accounting software. And then when we have those invoices pulled over, that allows us to generate the monthly notice deadline or requirement. So you'll see here, based on the September invoice, we have a monthly notice that is due in 2 months on the 15th. To create that notice is just going to populate the required information from that invoice. And this is just an example right here of what what a monthly notice would look like maybe for a subcontractor on a non-residential job. Now, to send it, it's a couple clicks of a button, and we're getting it sent out for you. Voila, that simple. We can also queue these up for you to make it where all you have to do is go to a list, and when that deadline's coming up, you can pull it from the mail queue. So a lot of people like to give their customers as much time as possible to send this notice. So what we can do, we can actually, if you see here, you see notices. We have approved monthly notices. Basically, we can just queue up those documents based on those invoices, have those monthly notices ready to go, and you have up until 10 a.m. on the 15th to pull that notice from the mail pile per se, and we won't send it out. Or maybe if it's marked paid, then it won't create that notice. There's none here currently that are approved, but it would look similar to right here where you have your notices queued up. All you would essentially have to do is just approve, and those notices would be sent out. So if you go back to that project I built, you'll see here, this is a project I built for a subcontractor on a non-residential job. If this was a second-tier subcontractor or a supplier on a residential job or whatever it may be, it would look a little bit different with some different deadlines. It might be a second month notice or a notice due at a different time, especially even the lien. So to also show you the intent to lien, I think we even had that as a question. When exactly would you send an intent to lien? That's a good question. It's really up to y'all. People send it at any time. Basically, if you've done everything you can with sending out these monthly notices, you're still not getting paid. Maybe they told you they were going to pay in 30 days. This is just an example of that other notice, that intent to lien that we can send. And it's going to look a little bit different. It actually is specifically saying, if you don't pay us, we will be filing a lien. And it's the same process. We can send that out. And of course, as a last resort, you have the lien itself, which is something that most of our contractors don't send. So I know that's a 30,000-foot view of the program and how it would work, but we can really make it easy for y'all, where y'all not having to spend hours or days tracking these invoices and having to prepare these documents on different invoices. I would say, get kind of bogged up in my mind when I have a lot of stress and messiness going around. So I couldn't imagine doing this for 20 projects with 10 different invoices. So we can just make sure all you're doing is entering that invoice. We'll generate that monthly notice and we'll get it sent out for you on that day. So that is a little bit about how Levelset can help. I do want to also talk about a customer of ours, Wendy, at Concrete Related Products. So Wendy is an HR manager, an AR manager, at Concrete Related Products here in Texas. Not sure what town exactly, but here in Texas. Before she had a process of managing monthly notices in-house. Their company was dealing with all sorts of payment problems, getting paid slowly. maybe missing deadlines. And she really had no idea how to send them. It was a new process to her. They didn't have really a proactive process to protect these, or didn't really understand how to maybe send them. So for Wendy, each month was filled with stress of calling customers, sending emails, asking for payment, and not really knowing when money would come through the door. There's a lot of, I guess, doubt that they would get paid. So she knew something had to be done, had to help her company get paid. As she is the AR manager, that was her job. And she decided to reach out and try our, Levelset. And what we did, we helped her stay on top of these monthly notices, and change was really instant. Not only was she able to get these notices sent quickly and easily, but their average payment collection time went from 127 days to 65 days. And that collection time has been getting faster and faster as time goes by. It's pretty incredible. And that is something that I have seen not only with Wendy at concrete related products, but a lot of other companies have used us, and they're maybe getting paid 90 days, or they know they need to send these notices, but they have so much other stuff on their plate. So not only can we save them that time, but make sure they're protected and get paid faster. So that's just a quick story about Wendy. I hope if that sounds like something that you can relate to, I hope that maybe we can also help you as well. So I know that does wrap up a lot of the information I wanted to talk about. My colleague Caroline has some questions for me first, and then we can start jumping into questions for y'all. Caroline, if you want to go ahead and kick it off. And then during this time too, while Caroline's asking these questions, I see we do have a couple questions here being asked. Milady, Maria, go ahead and answer more and more, put in more and more in there, and I'll get to answering those.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll kick those to you after. Yeah, I'll kick those to you after the couple of questions I have. First, some contractors and suppliers in Texas don't protect their lien rights at all. Do you think that's because they don't know that these lien rights exist, or that they're so complicated, or that they just don't have the time and energy or ability really to manage them, or is it like a mixture of both? Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it is a mixture of both. A lot of contractors get these notices from suppliers, and they may not really understand that they need to be sending them as well, or they may not really even know what they are. So with lien law being confusing, and we're not all attorneys here, maybe some of us are, but we're all not attorneys here. We all don't have that patience to read all those, scan through all those legal construction books to learn all this. But that lack of knowledge, maybe, which is, you can't blame contractors, that lack of knowledge of just understanding what their lien rights are, which means no disrespect to contractors, but the hard part should be, the hard part shouldn't be getting paid. And with those lien notices and those deadlines, it makes it hard for contractors to get paid. And just having that information and being aware of what their rights are is part of it, but also the time and stress that it takes to do that. Knowing is one thing, but having to spend all the time to actually do it, I think it goes both. It's really a combination of both.
Yeah, for sure. And I just had one more question before we get to all these questions that people are throwing in the Q&A box. What's Texas monthly notice day like at Levelset for the teams who prepare our customers' notices?
Yeah, so when I did show you that program, I know it's a fancy software, but it's not all just robots and softwares. We actually are a team of we have about 300 people, I believe now. And we have a dedicated team specifically to help with these monthly notices. It's kind of like a party every month. We order pizza, we get together, basically like a holiday. When that 15th month comes around, it's like we're celebrating a birthday party, but we're doing so in a responsible way for you, to help you get those notices prepared and to make sure that our customers are protected. So you don't have to worry about that stress. So you can actually go have a fun party a real fun party and not one that's preparing notices and researching information and getting, those sent out to you. So it is a pretty, it's a big deal here at Levelset.
Cool. Well, then I'm going to hop to some of these questions. We have one from Milady. When exactly do you send an intent to lien, which you answered? Her follow-up question to that is, we have a few customers that like to wait until the last hour on the 15th. Can we just send the notice ourselves after the deadline and pay our own postage?
Yeah, that's a good question, Milady. So I may have not touched on this. I think I briefly touched on this. So with that monthly notice deadline, that 15th day, sending the notice after that deadline would essentially make a contractor's right to file a lien invalid. So sending the notice after the deadline is definitely something you don't want to do. You want to make sure you're sending it on that deadline or before. And waiting until the last hour, that makes total sense. We have a lot of customers that do that. They wait until the last hour until they do get paid, because we understand that people can pay, maybe on that 15th day even. So when you do have Levelset, you actually have the ability to have that notice prepared, and you can pull it so it doesn't get mailed out on 10 a.m. on that notice date, on that 15th day. So we can make sure that you are giving as much time as possible to send that out. And then to answer your question too, before the question about the intent to lien, most people will send that certified mail as well. The monthly notices, they have to be sent certified, but the intent to lien, generally it's sent certified mail as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Maria asks, if you send a monthly notice and are not paid a month later, do you send the notice again? And if so, does Levelset track that and create another monthly notice?
So yeah, good question. So Maria, yes. In most cases, that monthly notice would be required to be sent that following month, or in some cases, generally after that monthly notice deadline, that following month is actually the lien deadline. So if the monthly notices have been sent and it's getting to that month where the lien is due, because in Texas, the lien is actually due on the third or fourth month, I believe, depending on the contractor or role, on the 15th day as well. So Levelset will track that. It will create another monthly notice or create a lien ready on that next month. So good question.
Okay, great. Thank you. John asks, I'm a general contractor that has sent a notice of intent to lien, and our deadline for lien filing is coming up in a couple of weeks. We're expecting payment before the lien deadline. However, if we go back out and perform additional work, does that extend our lien deadline?
Yeah, John, that's a good question as well. Totally valid question, because I know when you're bringing up lien deadlines, it's generally the last date that a contractor performed work or materials. But like I did say earlier, I am not an attorney. I don't want to be liable for giving you legal advice. The good thing about that actually is we have attorneys here in Texas that we can connect you with. We have even an expert center. You can post these questions. So John, actually what I can do, I can actually get that question answered for you. If you want to sync up after this, I can maybe give you some insight to that specifically. That is a good question. Generally, I do want to say contractors, it is, if they maybe go perform additional work that, it's based on that last day performing labor materials, but I want to make sure to give you a correct answer.
Cool. Okay. And one from Dawn. We use Procore, and we also have started with Levelset. Since Levelset can be integrated with Procore, how is that done? And do I have to have both programs open?
Yeah. So Don, that's a good question. If you are set up here with Levelset, I can make sure to tell your account manager, if you have a full service account with us, that does give you the ability to log in directly from Procore into Levelset. So one thing I can actually show y'all here, and this might relate to everyone. It's not just Procore, but you see here, you'll see integrations. And you'll also see, QuickBooks you can integrate with and Procore. The good thing about getting set up with us, Don, too, is that you do have full support of an account manager, a training and onboarding manager. We'll walk you through getting this installed. So it's going to pull over all the information from your Procore and get that easily set up for you. So Don, I'm going to write down your name, and I'll make sure that we get that set up for you. We can walk you all through that. Good question.
Great, thanks. That was really helpful. So those are all the questions that we have. If you have more, give you guys another minute or so to throw them in. Otherwise, back over to you, Liam, to close it out.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone's setting time aside here today. I know it was a lot of information, but like I said, if there's anything that y'all still have questions about, you will be getting an email.
Oh, real quick, sorry.
Yep.
How do I, Milady asked, how do I import without QuickBooks, or do you import?
Yeah, that's a good question. There is a lot of ways that we can take your projects and get them into Levelset, whether it be through like an Excel spreadsheet, or you send them to us and we enter them, or you just enter them yourself. It's very simple just to enter a project. It takes about 30 seconds, and then we kind of fill in the missing pieces. So I have everyone's name written here. I'm going to make sure that if there is any additional questions, my lady, Dawn, I'll make sure we get everything set up with Procore, and make sure to answer your question about the lien deadline, John. I'll make sure to get those questions answered to you and reach out. You will be getting, like I said, a recording, so you can go through this. I know it's a lot of information here today. You also get an email. I believe it will come from me, so you can just reply to me directly. And my information is right here. So this is my email. It's just my name, liam.duddy@levelset.com. You can email me right now if you'd like, and I might be able to get those questions answered, for y'all. Or you can, reach out, give me a call, whatever. I'm pretty available. So definitely want to make sure if there's any questions after this, that you have someone you can contact. And Caroline did just put it in the chat if y'all want to go ahead and shoot me an email.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all's time. Thanks for y'all's time, and sorry about the brief interruption with the phone call. Probably in this 30 minutes, I've probably missed about 10 calls. I'm sure all of you have as well. Y'all can relate. But yeah, thanks for attending, and I hope to be in touch with all of you. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.